Welcome back to Ration Nerd. Before I even start the review today, I hit the 250 subscriber mark, so I want to thank all of you guys for subscribing to the channel and talking to me in the comments. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys, even with some people in there saying some less than savory stuff. Check that out, that's fun. So today, we are going to be cracking into this Slovenian 24-hour ration as requested by the poll. So this is over 4 pounds worth of food for 24 hours. I'm going to do my best to keep this video as short as possible, although I have issues when editing, like what to edit out, what to keep. This is probably going to be a much longer video, so stick around. We're going to get into this and find out what's on offer for a Slovenian 24-hour ration. I got lucky that this one even made it in, so I'm pretty happy about that. So if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll keep making these videos. Let's crack into this guy and see what is in a Slovenian 24-hour ration. We do have a nice contents list here on the front. They don't have a calorie count on this, so I will likely do the math after we're finished for the day and get a calorie count up there for you guys. So with this being a 24-hour ration, we're going to break it up into 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we'll have all those together and see what has survived in this ration. It is slightly out of date. So it went out of date in 2023, so 6/15 of 2023. We shall see what the storage conditions were, and I'm really hoping this ration held up. This is going to be my first ever Slovenian ration, so I'm really looking forward to cracking into this thing. So that said, let's get into this guy. This thing, when it got to me, was packed in some of the smelliest packing peanuts ever, but I have to say the guy that shipped this to me put these in a very large box with a ton of foam peanuts, but they did do a great job of getting these to me from over in Eastern Europe to here in a big box that had lots of cushion around it, so that was much appreciated. Alright, so let's see what we have here. We have chocolate muesli with whole milk powder. Awesome. I have a feeling these guys held up because they're freeze-dried. They held up for a long time unless storage conditions were extraordinarily poor. All these freeze-dried meals should be perfectly fine. Wild berry dessert. That's pretty cool. All made by Travel Lunch. I've seen these reviewed before. I've never had the pleasure of having one of the Travel Lunch brands before, so we'll have to check that out. So we have a pack of instant tea. And here we have an energy bar. And we have a waste bag. Looks like there's some other stuff in there. We'll break into this in a moment. And we have one of the retort pouch meals. This is beef goulash and pasta. Awesome. And that has a flameless ration heater with it. That's cool as well. Next we have an accessory pack with some silverware. So we have a chocolate bar. That's always great. Love me some Eastern European chocolate. Here we have another energy bar. We have 2 packs of corn crisp bread. These are the things that I'm going to be most worried about, whether or not they held up. You can see that 2023 date right on there. I'm hoping these aren't stale, because these are actually pretty good when they're not. And here we have a chocolate protein drink. And we have a can of pate. Certainly looking forward to that. We have a slightly smushed box of Vitagen, which I really don't know what that is. Ah, these are the vitamin tablets. Look like strawberry flavored vitamin and energy tablets. That's pretty cool. Would have been neat if that box would have survived a little better, but looks like all the tablets are intact, so that's a good thing. Looks like we have some tuna steak and olive oil, so that ought to be interesting. And we have some sugar-free chewing gum. That's pretty neat. Oh, forgot this guy. And we have a mineral vitamin drink made by MVD. A couple more things hanging out in the bottom of the bag here. We have another mineral vitamin drink. And another. And another. So 3 mineral vitamin drinks. And we have 2 containers of honey. Those are pretty cool looking. So this is a good deal of food for a day. So I'm going to break this into 3 meals. We're going to start out with breakfast. So I'm going to get breakfast out onto a tray, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're looking at breakfast. One thing I did forget to do was open up this bag. So we're going to take a look in there, because one thing I did not see was coffee, and that coffee was listed on the front of the bag. So either there was a mispack and there was no coffee, or it's rolled up in here, which I'm really hoping for. Give me the coffee. So we have a pretty substantially large waste bag, which is kind of cool. I mean, because trash bag. So let's see what we have here. We have some hand sanitizer wipes with aloe vera. So we have 4 sanitizing wipes. Not 100% sure what's in there. I'm going to take a guess and say this is 2 packs of sugar. Yes, it is. These are actually kind of cool pictures on there. Check it out. So we have some sugar with some cool pictures on there. Coffee whitener. We're getting close. It looks like breakfast is not going to be a loss. And then we have a teeny tiny little pack of coffee, but we're still going to put some hope into it. And then we have a pretty cool pack of wind and water resistant matches with your striker in there. So sorry I didn't get to that earlier, but there it is. So we are going to get the main started for breakfast, because that is going to take some time. And this travel lunch has a nice gusseted bag that you could eat out of. That's not what we're going to do, obviously. Ooh, powdery. Nice. Figured there'd be a do not eat in there. It's either hiding really well, or there's just not one in there. Okay, I certainly don't see one. Give that a little smell. I mean, that smells chocolatey and inviting. So I'm hoping this ration was stored well, that milk powder didn't go bad. Very unlikely. But I do not see a fill line on either the exterior of the packaging or the interior, nor did I see on here anywhere where it said how much water to put in, so I guess we are just going to be estimating. I'm going to go easy on the water so I don't make it into a soupy mess. We are going to start with this much water and see where that gets us, rather than making it overly watery. I don't really like my oatmeal or muesli with a lot of water. One thing I can say about the gusset is great if you're eating out of it, not so great in this situation, because then it just lends itself to stuff getting stuck down in the corners of the pouch and not rehydrating. Well, that didn't work out so great. I mean, I know my water's hot, but good God almighty. Okay. Not such an awesome spoon in the ration. That kind of made it more like a garden hoe, which actually might work out for this situation. I can say this zipper top pouch is not cooperating in any way, shape, or form. So we'll just have to do our best not to make a mess. That's not normally a thing for me. Normally when it comes to like not making a mess and making a mess, I always make a mess, but we'll see what happens. All right. Well, I guess I win this time. So we're going to set that off to the side for 5 minutes or so and let that rehydrate. So we're going to check out this energy bar. That looks pretty wholesome. And that smells really good. That has like a brown sugar smell to it. Almost like a molasses and brown sugar smell. This little bar is coming in at 349 calories. At least that's what they have it listed on the package. For a bar that size, that's a pretty high calorie count. So we'll have to see what that's all about. And we have this chocolate protein drink. Oh. Again, with the mess, no mess, I'm always making a mess. As you can see, I just made a pretty good mess. You know, I'm not even close to this thing, and it smells pretty strong and very pleasantly of chocolate from back here. It smells pretty good. I hope once it hydrates, it actually tastes as good as it smells. Hopefully the spoon reacts better to cold water than hot water. We shall see. This certainly would have been one of those items that would have been better in a bag, that you could have shaken it. I'm not exactly sure how the Slovenian troops are making this out in the field, but they're certainly not making it in that small bag that it came in. It's certainly thickening up really well. Still a little bit of chunkiness in there I'd like to get rid of, but I really think this mixes a lot easier than any of the US MRE protein drinks. And even though they come in a bag and you can shake the life out of those things, this, for all intents and purposes, mixes up really well. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, we will open up our crisp bread. Now I think I'm just going to have a couple pieces of this for breakfast, and I will save the remainder of it to go with lunch and dinner. For the time being, we're just going to start with 2. And without any doubt, it is most certainly coffee time. Thank you, Slovenia, for this coffee I am about to receive. Well, that's definitely a spray-dried coffee. That usually doesn't bode well for coffee, unfortunately, but we're still going to give it a day in court. Any coffee is better than no coffee at all. And we're going to use one of those packs of sugar. And unless this coffee proves to be a lot stronger than I think it's going to be, I'm going to just use a small amount of water. I'd rather have a small, strong, good cup of coffee than a big, weak, not so great cup of coffee. And first and foremost, without any doubt, we are starting with a sip of this coffee. You know, all things considered, for a spray dry coffee, that's certainly not bad. Too much more water and it would have gotten really weak. Could use a little bit more creamer in my opinion. Everybody likes their coffee differently. I like mine creamy and mildly sweet. This isn't a bad cup of coffee, I have to say. I was expecting it to be kind of crappy. This is not bad at all. And we'll get a sip of this protein drink, which still has a little bit of powder that just refuses to mix in. Yeah, that's pretty pleasant. It doesn't have that protein powder aftertaste. So this is pretty mild on the chocolate flavor, oddly enough. It smelled very chocolatey, almost like you could just mix it with a small amount of water and make some chocolate frosting. That was the kind of smell that it had. It really isn't bad. Not crazy chocolate flavor, not crazy sweet. It's just kind of mild and easy to drink. There's nothing spectacular about this, but there's also nothing horrible about it, and there's no weird aftertaste. So this would be easy to down in the morning. Probably, honestly, one of the better protein drinks I've had in any MRE. Usually protein drinks just have a weird aftertaste. That one does not. So we're going to check out this energy bar. Again, that has a really pleasant brown sugar and molasses smell to it. That's really good and different than what I'm accustomed to. There's a certain bitterness that comes along with the sweetness. And it's not because it's out of date. It's perfectly fresh tasting. It's just a different flavor, as if there's some ascorbic acid in here, like a high amount of vitamin C. It's very interesting. It's not like a traditional sweet like oat and nut bar, which this does have some oats and some nuts and some small crisps in it, which are either soy or rice crisps, I would imagine. Texturally, this is a lot like a drier date bar in its texture, except for when you get to the oats and nuts that are in here and the crisps. This is really good though. Very interesting. Kind of an odd flavor that I'm not accustomed to, with that vitamin C, kind of ascorbic acid aftertaste this thing has going on. Certainly a very interesting item and very good. Check out a cross section of that just for texture. And you can see how soft that is. It just kind of smushes up. You know, the more I eat of this, like each bite I take of it, that like vitamin C aftertaste is actually kind of a welcome addition to the flavor. This is very interesting. Wash that down with a little coffee. Finally, a ration with some coffee in it. We'll give that just a couple more minutes. In the meantime, we'll try out a pair of these energy vitamin tablets. Those are good. Those are just like enormous strawberry Smarties. No bitterness or tartness, just a sweet strawberry flavor, and a little softer and chalkier than a Smartie. But essentially what you have in these, which I would imagine you're eating these throughout the day, not all at one meal. This would be something good just to chew on while you were on the move. These are literally a giant Smartie in a blister pack that are vitamin fortified. Literally the aftertaste does not have any, B vitamin aftertaste or anything. Definitely catch a little bit of the vitamin C, but these are actually pretty tasty. This is a cool addition to a ration just from a vitamin standpoint, like getting your daily vitamins. This is a good way to get it, and it's a good way to influence people to get it, considering that they're strawberry flavored. They actually just taste like candy, which is kind of neat for a vitamin. And while we're waiting on that to continue hydrating, we're going to give some of this honey a try. I really do enjoy getting jams and honeys from foreign countries. They always have a different flavor. You can see that started to granulate a little bit. That's okay. It's kind of the way I like my honey, to be fair. Makes it a little easier to control and spread, although I'm still going to make a mess of it without a doubt. That's really good. I just licked the lid, and that's got a very floral taste to it. Now, crisp breads have a tendency to just kind of hide flavor of things because they're so bland. I'm hoping it doesn't do that to this honey, because that would be a real bummer, because having a taste of this, it was really good honey. Let's give that a go. That honey is really good on the corn crisp breads. The corn crisp breads are very mild, so that is just an extremely crunchy, mildly chewy, because these are slightly stale, but not in flavor, just in texture. Still completely perfectly edible. Kind of has a little bit of a Captain Crunch aftertaste, like not the sweet part of the Captain Crunch, but these guys have a little bit of a Captain Crunch aftertaste, which is kind of funny. But paired with this honey, absolutely, especially if you were having a sweet tooth, that honey will definitely knock it out. This is really good. It's great that they did give you 2 packs of honey in here. So if you wanted to use the honey just to sweeten up your muesli, or if you wanted to use the honey all on your crisp bread, you have more options having 2 packs of it, which is a really great addition to this ration. Let's check out this main and see how it's doing. Well, I definitely made that with too much water, so it's a little on the soupy side, but, well, we're just going to have to deal with it. Certainly made a great deal of very chocolatey milk to go along with that muesli. Looks pretty good. One thing I do like about the muesli that I've had in foreign rations is that it just seems to be a lot more hearty. Like this has oat flakes and spelt flakes, which I'm not familiar with spelt, except for having eaten it in these rations. Maybe it's something that's used more commonly in the US, I'm just unaware of it. But the muesli that I've had from foreign countries is very hearty and very filling, and I think the texture of it is a lot more enjoyable. So it wasn't listed on the package, but I do see some seeds floating around in here. They look like they could be sunflower seeds. Definitely see your oats, and I would imagine the other shape is the spelt. But let's get a taste of this and see how chocolatey this is or is not. Little gratuitous close-up of chocolatey goodness, and that's really good. Those oats have a lot of texture without being overly tough. Everything is hydrated really well. It is not over sweet, but it is sweet enough that it really enhances the chocolate flavor. This is really good. I would not be upset at all having this for breakfast. I actually left this pack of sugar out and left myself some honey, figuring that the muesli might not be sweet enough. I know in the French RCIRs, for my taste, the muesli is not sweet enough. So I will generally add a little bit of sugar to the muesli in the French rations. This, however, has just the right amount of sweetness, very hearty. This is going to be extremely filling, I can tell. The texture on this is amazing, as well as the chocolate flavor is really pronounced. This is good. I just can't not make a mess. Speaking of making a messes, the napkin that comes with this thing, it's nothing special. This is just a standard dinner napkin that we would have here in the States. There's nothing overly strong or overly weak about it. It's just a napkin, good enough to wipe the food off your face. I wish I would have put this in a bowl, because there's a part of me that just wants to like tilt this tray back and just like try to drink it out of the tray. This stuff is actually really good. And that's very filling as well, and satisfying, which is really nice. I know that Slovenia does not make the travel lunch brand, but they certainly picked right when finding a breakfast item to put in this ration. That was excellent. Now we're going to finish up this coffee. Not bad. And this protein drink. Again, not bad at all. I'm going to finish up this last crisp bread with that honey. Maybe chew on a couple more of these guys because they were really good. I'll see you guys back here for lunch.